Okay. Stay on top of things. Okay. All right, this one's called the Lab 2 extra file. So there's your Lab 2 that you're going to go from the folder with your right code, right? Okay, and then on the, before that one, in the directions area, you're going to find a file that's called Lab 2 extra, and it has 2 worksheets in there, and I want you to bring these worksheets into your file. Okay? Pareto 1, Pareto 2. Pareto 1 is a simple regression, or a simple Pareto, and we'll quickly knock this one out. And Pareto 2 is a cumulative Pareto. Okay? I should be able to finish these in probably about 10 minutes. Okay? So it doesn't take long. Doesn't take long to do the Pareto. All right, Pareto 1 is, I have the data sitting up over here. We're going to highlight this data and we're going to copy it. And we're going to come up over here and use my copy command, and I'm going to come up over here and I'm going to do the paste and paste it in here. Now, the other thing in here is I need to sort this. But I have this other problem sitting here with 22,000. If I sort it, it's going to put this in the sort, and I don't want it to be in the sort. So temporarily, I'm going to change that 22,000 to 0, because I want it to be the last one in the list. Okay, so if I change that to 0, then it's going to be the last one. I'm going to highlight both of them, and I'm going to come up under data, data sort. Oops. And I didn't have any label rows, so I'm going to uncheck the label box. And I'm going to sort by, and it's either column E or column F. What do you want to sort by? The number or the words? The numbers, right? So we're going to sort by column F. And the value, we're going to go from smallest to largest or largest to smallest? Smallest. All right, largest to smallest. And I just click that, and it resorts everything. Don't just do the numbers, because you need to keep data integrity, right? You highlight both of them because you want them to sort as a pair, not individually. I don't want to change the numbers and corrupt my data. All right, so now my other problems is the last one in the list, and now I can change it back to 22,000. Okay? All right, so now I do my Pareto. I come back up over here, I highlight my data, and I come up over here and do insert. And I'm going to insert a chart, and it's going to be a 2D column chart. And there's my Pareto, and I'm going to put it into this area up over here. And I'm going to take it and drag it for that area up over there. My formatting of it, I'm going to finish it off. I'm going to go to layout. And first thing I'm going to do is get rid of my legend, which is this piece up over here. So legend, none. Grid lines, horizontal, none. And so now I have that, and it's properly sorted. All I need now is a chart title. So I go to chart title, and I'm going to put it above the chart, and so we'll just call it Pareto 1. And only thing I need to do is finish off my y-axis up over here. So if I go back and click on the chart, get back into edit mode, go to layout, go to axis labels, and I want my vertical. I don't need to worry about this one down up over here because I don't need an axis label up over here. I have category labels up over here, that's good. But I need an axis label for the y-axis. So I come up to my y-axis, primary y-axis or vertical, and I do a rotated tile. And I come up over here, and it's going to be the number returned. So my axis is going to be the number returned, right? And accept that, and there it is down up over here, and the simple Pareto's done, right? What did it take me? 2 minutes, 3 minutes? Doesn't take long to do a simple Pareto, okay? All right, just vertical bar chart, but the important thing is sorting it. Okay, next one, cumulative Pareto. This one is the same sort of thing, but I include my cumulative percent calculations up over here. And so the same sort of procedure in here is that I'm going to copy this stuff up over here, and I'm going to come up over here and do a paste. And then I'm going to change the other to 0 temporarily. And we'll come and do our sort. Data, sort, get rid of my header, sort by column F, and largest to smallest. And away we go, and then we come back and change this one to 984. the other thing I need, I'm going to need a total in here, so let's just say this one's equal to the sum, open parentheses, which that's a sum function, and I'm going to highlight all the data, and close it, and there's my total, 10,226 items. Okay? Now I need to complete this section of the chart, which is my cumulative percent. And this one is going to equal to, how do you calculate percent? Or my percent.
10,226.
This value divided by my total. Okay, if I look at that, what it gives me is a decimal percent. Okay? Well, I want a whole number percent in here, so I could either click the percent button, and then I'm going to have a percent sign in every one of these columns. And I don't really want a percent sign in every column because I have the legend up on top. This says cumulative percent. So I don't need a percent sign in everything. So what I'm going to do is just come in here and we're going to put in parentheses times 100. I'm just going to multiply it times 100. Right? It's the same thing. Okay? And so it gives me that value is equal to 24% of the total. Okay? Now, if I was to take this and paste it down right now, I would get an error. Okay? Because it's right now it's using this cell and this cell, but if I go into this second one, it's migrating off of that one below it. And if you look at the formula up over here, it does F8, which is this value here, but then it does F16, which is this cell down up over here. That's F16. So it's migrating off of that. So I want it to stay on F15. So I come in here and put a $ before the 15, and it will lock it in on this cell right up over here. Okay? And so now I can take and paste that one down. All right, and it gives me all the percentages. Okay? However, and now I still have a problem because I don't want individual percents, I want cumulative percent, which means I have to add up the one previous, right? So this one here, this one's okay. This one here should be this one plus the one before it. So in that formula, what I would end up doing is I put another set of parentheses, and I'm going to add to it the one from before. Right? And I'm going to put my last set. So now so you can read that formula in that sense. It's got parentheses, and it enhances the readability. All right, so I click that check mark. It gives me 46%. Go to the lower right corner. Whoops. Go back to that cell, lower right corner, and paste it on down, and it gives me 100%. Okay? All right, now I'm ready to do my chart. Okay? All right. Now this is where, on these machines in here, you have to have, there's a chart template you need to access. And in that handout I just gave you, it tells you about how to access that template, or do the chart. So that at this point, if you're doing it on your own laptop or something, when you turn on the chart templates, it's always going to be there and you can go back and access it. On these machines in here, when you do this, and then you turn off the machine, it all goes away, as far as the template. So anytime you want to do a cumulative Pareto, you're going to have to go back and do this same procedure, like for the midterm exam. Okay? But, it's not going to change the chart after you create it, but if you want to do a second one, you'll have to, if you log off the machine, you're going to have to recreate it. All right. Okay. The first one we got. Okay, it says adding a new chart type into Excel 2010. It says open the Pareto file. You're going to see a file called Pareto chart, right? You open this one, and what you see in this one is a list of instructions, the same instructions that show up in this handout. And then this one is the Pareto chart. You go in here, and you see this chart. See, no, there's nothing, but it's just a chart template. And so what I'm going to do is I open the Pareto chart, I click on the chart area, so we just click on the chart area up over in here, and it puts it into edit mode. And then I go up under design, and I go save as template. Okay, I click this, it brings me into here. It's giving me a name, and in here it says, save as line column. So we'll come in here and we'll type in line column. Oh, chart. one that defaults to that, okay? Once you do that, you click save, and you're done, okay? So that's the end of it. I've created it into the templates. Now, the next thing, so now I can close this, I'm done with it, right? I don't save it, and I'm back to here. Now I can give my cumulative Pareto, and what I end up doing is I highlight this, I come back and go to Insert, Other Charts, okay? And down here it has all chart types, okay? And then up over here it says Templates. So I go into Templates, and what you see in here is the line column one that I just saved, okay? So I click on that one, click OK, and there's my cumulative Pareto, okay? And I move it to that area, and I size it accordingly. There we go. All right, now I need to, but you notice it looks like a mess right now, and I have to finish it to that picture that it showed on the PowerPoint, right? All right, so I need chart titles, I need access labels, I need scales. First thing I'm going to do is start on my scales, okay? So this one I know has to be 100%, so I'll come up over here and I'll do it fixed at 0. Fixed at 100, and I want it fixed at 10% intervals. So this one I'll change to 10. Okay. All right. So that gets me this. Oh, and also let me go back here. I don't need the decimal places, so I'll come back here and go number, and take that to 0. Okay. So now there's my scale, right? 0 to 100 at intervals of 10. Alright, so now I need to do the other side. And so I'll come up over here. And let's move this out over here. My fixed is going to be at 0. My fixed is going to be at what?
Total.
Which is 10,226. 10226. Okay. My fixed, what's this value? 10%? What's 10% of this value?
1022.
All right, 1022.6. Right? Right? Yeah, 22.6. Okay. And we'll go to number. It's all the 0 decimal places. Okay. And click that. And now what I have is 10,226 at 100%, and 10% at 1,023, right? 23? Is it? Yeah, 0.6, well, 10%, let's see. Does that put in 123? Yeah, it's rounding, yeah, it's 122.6 and it's rounding up to 1023, right? Okay. All right, but that's 10%. All right, and the other thing is my other categories here, it's all been sorted correctly and everything. And one of the ways to notice is that this line right up over here is sitting at the top of the first one. So if it's there, then you did it okay. All right, the next step in here is my chart title. And let me just get rid of this one. I can come back up over here and go layout and go chart title. And we're going to put it above the chart. And I'm going to go Pareto 2. Okay, and then I can do the same thing. These are in the wrong locations and stuff. I mean, but it's because this is imported from Excel 2003. So I'm going to make some changes in here, and I'm going to go access titles. So it's got my primary. Keep in mind, this is my primary is over here. My secondary is up over here. So this will be my primary Y, my secondary Y. So if I go after my primary vertical axis first, and as rotated tiles, then this one's going to be my number replaced. Number replaced. Okay. And then if I go back to axis title, come back in. Axis title, secondary Y-axis, rotated tile. And this is going to be percent replaced. Percent replaced. come in, the other thing I can end up doing on here, I could click this and go home and make that bold, and I can make this one bold, and I can make this one bold. Okay. Oh, the other thing I want to do on here is I want to format these. The other thing, if you think that you're too crowded here, you can always click in the center and you can take and make this like this, and then you can take these and move them back out. And I can take this and move it this way a little bit. So it makes, proportionally you're changing things, right? I mean, you're making the chart look a little better, right? Because you're creating more spaces and things like that. So you can make adjustments like that. The other thing I want to do in here, let me increase this one, is I want to go after these, I want data labels on here, but I also want to change these markers. And so if I double click on these markers, you'll notice that when I double click on any one of these markers and it highlights them all. This one, this one, this one, all the way up. And then it comes into this dialog box and it asks me for marker options. So I'm going to change them to, we're going to go marker options and we're going to change them to circles. And my marker fill, what I want to do is I want to fill it with white in the center. So they're going to be blue with a white center. Okay, and see what you see here. All right. And we close that, and what you see is those nice little markers. All right. The next step in there is come back in here and go layout. What we want are data labels. So we want our labels on here. So we go data labels, and we want it, let's just put it inside, let's see, center, data labels, outside into more data labels. Let's see. Okay, let me close this. We'll go back to, put it there. That's okay. I don't need these data labels. Let's see if I can, let me go back. Inside, let's see, turn off, let's go back. Turned off those. Okay, those went away. And now I have these. And one of the things, these are awful big compared to those, so I can come in here and if I double click on those, I can come up and go number, no decimal places. Okay, whoops. Oh, let's try that one again. Let's click off of it. Oh. Number, yeah. All right. 0. Okay. And the, also, I want to format the size of them. If I go home, I can take it down to, let's go 9 points, so I can make them smaller. Let's take it down to 8 points. All right, so they make them smaller. Now the other thing, I don't need this, I already have 100 here, so I don't need this one up over here. So if I double click on them, or if I click on them, I get them all, but if I click again, I get this one. So now I can just take and make this one disappear. Okay, so now I have these. I can also take them, and if I click on this one, click again, and then I can just take this one and click and drag it to the other. Okay, you click on them all. Come on. There it goes. Okay, and I can take them and move them around. And so you can get them into whatever position you want that makes them look the best. All right, and this one's kind of far away. Right? Okay, well, if I don't like that one, I can always undo it. Okay, that one's kind of far away. But for the most part, everything's done on here. My title, my access labels, my data labels, I formatted these. Things look a lot better than what it did when I first created the chart. All right, that's the second order, or that's the cumulative breadth. Okay, all right. Any questions about this? Right? It's on the videotape. It's just a procedure thing of formatting, right? Most of it's just creating the table. Once you do that, then you're just formatting the chart. Okay, done with this one, right? Moving on. All right, those will be your first 2 worksheets in your file. So I'm not going to save it. Okay, now you're in your file. You have this these 4 other worksheets in here. These aren't too bad. I mean, it's in the sense is that these are really just practice worksheets in a sense, and the biggie in here is the third one. Okay, Six Sigma measurement is in here is that you have the mean, the standard deviation. Here you have zero mean shift. On this little handout I gave you, on the back side, it has a little aid to help you on this, right? Because if you were calculating the z-score, you'd say the test value minus the mean divided by the standard deviation, right? And it's going to give you the z-score associated with it. All right. Now, if I wanted to calculate the percent acceptable, keep in mind is what I'm looking at, right? -1 plus 1, so I'm looking at that distribution like this, and we're looking at it with respect to 0, 1, 2, 3, -1, -2, -3. Okay? I want to know the percent acceptable between -1 and 1, which is really this and this, right? I want to know this area in here, correct? All right. Now, this is going to be my DPMOs. So if I know my percent acceptable, if this turns out to be, anybody know offhand what this should be? 68.23%. Okay, which is between 1 and -1, or if you go back to the notes, you'd find out that this is 68.23, which is really because it's -1 to 1 standard deviation, so it's one standard deviation either direction. But to calculate that, if I wanted to know that area, I have a norms disk that takes me out to here, correct? And that's, we call that one A. And then I have another norms disk that takes me out to here. And so they call that one B. And so if I want to know the area in between, I go A minus B. So the norms disk of A is the total area minus B. So that's going to, that norms disk of this one out to +1 will give me that area. This one will give me the area up to here. Subtract the 2 and I get the area in between. Okay? So this isn't any different than what you were doing in your previous lab, right? Calculating areas. The only difference in here is that you're linking to these values right up over here. So if you want to know, say indirectly, this value of my percent acceptable is going to equal to NORMDIST, open parentheses, right? My test value, which one am I going to do first? Positive one? Yeah. Okay, so I do this is my test value, comma, my mean, based on my mean up over here for this distribution, my mean is 0. Okay? Okay, so comma, my mean is 0, comma, my standard deviation on here is 1 because I'm just going from 1 to 2 to 3, so it's just a standard deviation of 1 with respect to z-score. All right, and so this is my standard deviation, comma, true. Okay, and that's close parentheses, minus NORMDIST, open parentheses, and back to this one. Now I'm doing the -1. My test value is -1, comma, the mean, comma, the standard deviation, comma, true. 68.27%. Okay, that's my percent acceptable. Right? All right. So my DPMOs are going to be 1, equals 1 minus my percent acceptable. That's going to be my unacceptables. Close parentheses. Let's see, I want to do that subtraction first. Okay, and then I'm going to times 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so my defects per million opportunities are going to be, out of 1 million, it's going to be 317,311. Right? Okay, so now it's nothing more than what you did in that other one, right? In some respects, you took your percent acceptable, found out your unacceptables, and found out your number of items, either reworked or scrapped or whatever. Okay? Okay? Well, then you'll do it for all of these. But the idea here is that it's the same formula, and the only thing I'm varying is if I were to take this one. See, this is the nice thing about Excel is you can sit here and write every one of these formulas, right? Well, how about if I just copy this formula and come up over here and do a paste? Well, let's see. Well, what's migrating on me? Oh, it's migrating. Oh, I have to do something first, right? If I want to do that, I can either write that formula or let me undo that, because basically what I want to do is come back and edit this formula and put in dollar signs to lock it in these, because if I paste it down, it's moving off these cells. So if I paste it here, I'm jumping 2, so it's jumping 2. This one's moving down to here, and this one's moving down to here, in the sense in the formulas. So one of the things I could end up doing is coming back to this formula and putting in, let's see, this one is my test value. I want the test value to migrate. It's this one I want to stay here, and it's this one I want to stay on there. And let's tab over to this side up over here. Oh, yeah, that one. Dollar. Dollar. All right, now I should be able to take this one and do a copy on it and come up over here and do a paste. Oh, look, oh wow. And this one. Okay, and so I can do it all the way down. All right, so how you write the formulas depend on how much work you're going to do. Okay, see, this is the whole idea behind teaching Excel. All right, so this one down up over here now. I don't have a problem with this one because this one's just linked to this one up over here, right? And it's just linked to that one. So if I do a copy on this one, and paste this one to here, and paste this one to here, okay? And so as I get down, what this one should show, when I get down over here, what should it be? Keep in mind is that here I'm a centered distribution. My mean is 0, my standard deviation is 1, so we're nice and centered between those. When I get down over to here, this should be 0 defects. I don't have a shift. Okay? So this is a centered distribution between the 6 sigma limits. Right? And so down up over here, this one's going to be 0. Right? However, and because the picture associated with it is this, right? My spec limit, and I'm buffered up against them, and I'm nice and centered. So 0 defects. The next one down is this one. I had a 1.5 shift to the left, and then the next one down I have a 1.5 shift to the right. Okay? So now you have to build those formulas. Here my sigma shift up over here, if you went back to the first one, I had no sigma shift. Okay, here I got a 1.5 shift, and down over here, that's a negative shift because it's shifting to the left. This one is a 1.5 positive shift, which means to the right. And so you're going to calculate those same percentages and the DPMOs. And on the back up over here, it gives you a little hint, right? Your z-score, or when you're writing that formula for your percent acceptable, we're looking at it with respect, because we did my test value minus, comma, the mean, comma, the standard deviation, right? Well, now your test value is going to be the same, because that'll be your test value. That doesn't change, right? This is my test value, or this one, whichever way you're doing it. Before I clicked on my mean, right? Well, what it says here is going to be your mean plus the shift. So this mean plus that shift. So you can do that where you do the comma, you do the test value, comma. You should be able to do, within that next comma frame, you should be able to do those two cells added together. Now you may have to put a parentheses around them to ensure that it does that before in the formula. Okay, but you can take functions and modify them. Okay? And then the next one, comma, the next one would be your standard deviation. And then the last one would be true, right? And you go through the same procedure. Okay? But what it's doing is it's incorporating the shift into it, and it's recalculating those percentages. Because if I have a left shift, my percent acceptable is going to change. If I have a right shift, my percent acceptable is going to change. Okay? What you're going to do is calculate those values. there was a handout I gave you at the very beginning, first day of class, that showed what those values should be at different sigma values. Okay, so you have something to compare it to. There's also a lab assist file on Blackboard as well that will show you, I don't think it shows you all the values, but it will show you a few of them to see if you're on the right track. Okay, so piece of cake, right? No problem with this one. Okay, all right, next one, ND1. I may go back a few minutes after 9. I mean, you willing to stick with me if I go past 9? Okay. Okay, in here, what we're going to do is we're going to create a different type of histogram. This one is, we're going to build a curve that's going to look like a bell curve. It's going to look like that curve up over there, and it's going to be based on these components up over here. Okay. Inside here is, we have that same thing. We have our z-scale sitting up over here from 6 to -6. My mean is 0, my standard deviation is 1, so we're going to develop some distribution probabilities, because I need that to make that curve. And really what it is, you're looking at this as being up over my top is going to be 50%, and it's percentages as you're coming down. This would be 0%, up to here is 50%, and then back down to 0%. So we're going to take this curve and we're sort of going to shift it a little bit. But we're going to create an area assessment off of here. And if I wanted this value, because I want really singular values, not cumulative. I want the value from here outwards, or we're going out to 6, right? -6. So, add on some more 4, 5, and 6. And then I have -4, 5, and 6 this way. So I want to do the entire spread of it. And if I want to calculate that 6, right, if I have, let's see, we're going to do that first one for it. Okay, so it'll be 4, 5, and 6, and so this really comes down like that, right? Okay, it comes out this way. So I want to know that area, I want to know this little piece up over here. And then I want to know this little piece right up over here, right? Or it's cumulative from up over here, and then this will be cumulative this way. And as I'm coming back this way, when I hit 0, then it should be right up over here. This should say 50% or 0.5. So I have 50% here at the 0, and then up over here, this one should be around 34, because if I know, or this one up over here, because this is 68%, so this little piece up over here is 34% and 34%. So right up over here, this value of +1 should be 34%, 34%, 50%. So it's decreasing as it's going out to the ends, both ways. Okay? And it's just done on a norms disk function. And now this one, if I'm doing these out up over here, if I want to do that area, right, it's going to go all the way out to this point and stop, but this is going to be a 1 minus, because I want that area beyond. And then the next one I do is going to go out to the 5 and stop, and this is going to be a 1 minus. And so all of these out up over here are going to be 1 minus because I want the area beyond. But once I cross the mean and come back this way, then it's going to be a it's going to be just a regular norms disk, because up over to here is 50%, up over to here is going to be 34%. So I'm calculating the cumulative areas as I'm decreasing. And you'll see it when I put in the function. All right. So this one out up over here is going to equal to 1 minus NORMDIST, open parentheses, and it's going to be my test value. My test value is going to be this value that 6 that I can't see right now, and I'm going to type in C14, which is what it is, comma, my mean is that value, comma, my standard deviation is 1, comma, true. Close parentheses. Okay, that should give me 0. Okay? Right? Because it's very, very small from that 6 outwards. And now if I take this one, now I want to come back up over here and probably lock it in with a $sign for this one, because I want it to stay on these 2 cells right over here. So I'll put a $sign here, and I'll come up over here and put a $sign. Okay, now I can take and paste it on down, and it's going to migrate all to those. So if I go all the way down to here, to mean, And you'll notice at 0, 0, 0, and basically out up over in here, you have very low percents, and it's starting to grow into here. And so it's getting up to 0.13% or 0.00, but that's 0.31%, 2.28%, 15.87%, which would be, let's see, 15%. Oh, yeah, because it's looking at 64, 68, let's see, 34, 0. Oh, yeah, because it's looking at it from here out this way. Okay, so this one, the difference between this and 50 is 34. So this little piece is 34%, but what I'm looking at is from here out to there is 15. Okay? And so now what I need to do, if I go down to the next one, I don't want to, if I keep on going down, I'm going to get a cumulative probability, and I don't want a cumulative probability. What I want to do is at this point up over here is where I get rid of the 1 minus. And I just go back with the regular norms disk, and I'm back to this one. Okay? So what you see is it's sort of, it's, the curve is sitting up over here, and then going back with my 50%, 15%, and because my 15% point is, right up over here. So all of this out up over here, from here all the way out is 15%, from here all the way out is 15%, and then, so that, that cumulative percent is decreasing. So I need those in there. Okay. The next one is my, so this is done. This is going to stay standardized for all of these, right? Once you get in the hang of doing this, it's not a problem. Distribution mean, well, my mean is going to equal to this value up over here. And really it's going to be the same all the way down, so I could sit here and say that this cell is equal to the one above. Okay, and then just take this one and go to the lower right corner and paste it on down. Okay, so I get 0. So if this one changes, and this one changes, and if this one changes, then they all change. But it's not going to change. Alright, I do have, now I got a sigma limit. I want to put a sigma limit on here because I want to know what my percent acceptable is. So I'm going to have an upper and lower sigma limit. And that limit is either going to be -1 or 1, or -2 and 2, or -3 and 3, or whatever I want it to be. So let's just say I put a 3 sigma limit up over here. Okay? And so this one is going to be my lower sigma limit. So my lower sigma limit is going to be the minus value of this. So that this cell here is going to equal to this one times -1. And then this one, my upper one, is going to be the opposite side of the mean, so it's going to be a +3. So this one's going to equal to this one right over here. Alright, now this cell is equal to the one above it. This cell is equal to the one above it, because it's just going to be a straight line going up. Okay? And then I'm going to highlight both of these and paste them on down, and I get -3 all the way down, +3. If I come here and change this one to 4, they all change to -4 and 4, right? No problem. Okay. All right. 3. Okay. So my table's done. What I want to do is I want to create a graph, and I want to complete this down up over here. Now, these are what you're going to have to do is build a chart from scratch, and you have 4 lines or 4 things you got to put onto it, and it tells you what columns the data is coming from. So we're going to insert a chart. But we're going to build that chart from scratch, and so we're going to come in here and we're going to say insert a chart, and we're going to do it as an XY scatter chart. Okay? And we're going to do it with what we want. You have choices in here: no lines, lines with markers, lines without markers. For here I have coarse lines and smooth lines. And so what I want are smooth lines without markers. So I want this one up over here, and so I get this, and I have a blank chart. Now, what I'm going to do with this chart is I'm going to, let me take this and move it down up over here a little bit so you can see all this stuff. Okay? Alright. And it tells me, okay, I'm going to have 4 lines I'm going to put on here. And so I'm going to come in here and I'm going to select data. Okay? It comes up in this little box and it says, okay, I'm going to add a series. So we're going to add a series, and it comes up and says, okay, what series name do you want to give it? I'm going to give it PC. So all of that info to build it is coming from here. And it tells you what column, because it asked me for my X values. Well, my X values come from column C. Column C are these values up over here. Okay? So, match up your table with the column C. So that one, this is the name, series name. Then my series X values are going to come from, if I click into this one up over here, I highlight these values here. That's going to be on the X-axis. Okay, then it says series Y-axis, so I get rid of this. And it's going to come from column D, which is, this is column D, so I highlight these values. And what you see is the beginnings of the curve, right? It's coming up, and there's my curve, and I have my sigma values on my X-axis. Okay? And I'm going up, all I have to do is format this chart. Okay, at this point I click OK, and I'm ready for my next series. Okay, see, it's got 2 in here right now, but I just did the PC. I don't need this one here, so I'm going to remove this one up over here. So I have my PC. Okay, I'm going to add another one, and the next one I'm going to add is this one. And my X values are going to come from E, right, with column E, which is this values up over here, which is 0. And my Y values are coming back to D again. So all my Y values are going to be from D, and D is these percents. Alright, and what it does, it gives me a vertical line for my mean. So that's the center of my distribution. Okay? Alright, the next one, so we come click OK, and we go back into add another series, and my next series name is going to be my lower spec limit, and it's going to be my G, column G, which is these values right up over here. So it's going to be these values here, which is my lower sigma limit. And then my y-axis values are back to column D, which is this stuff up over here. Alright, and there's that line right up over here. That's going to be my vertical line. That's going to be my limit. And I want the percent acceptable. And you'll see when I do the other one. Okay, the last one in here is my upper spec limit, or upper sigma limit. And my y values are going to be column H, which is going to be these values up over here. And this one is going to be back to those percents. Okay? And I click OK. And so now then I'm done with this, and so I click OK, and I have my chart sitting up over here. Now I need to finish my chart, but the basis for the chart is here. It's so if I come in here, I want to cap my scale. I want to make it fixed at 0. And I want to make it fixed at 0.5. Okay, and intervals of 0.1, yeah, the intervals of 0.1 would be okay. You want to make it fixed at 0.1. And I want to format it, let's see, well, 1 decimal place would be good. All right, so I want to go formatting, it's at 4 decimal places, I'm just going to change it to 1. And we'll close it. And what you see is this, okay? Now the next thing I'm going to do in here is, so go back to layout, I don't want any vertical lines, so I go to grid lines, horizontal, none, so those go away. I need this scale up over here. Oh, I'm going to do my x-axis. We're going to do it from 6 to -6, so right now it's at -8 to 8. I don't want it that big, so I go down up over here, and I fix it at -6. And let's see, we'll try it at 6. We can always change it. And then we fix it at +6. And I'm going to do it at, I'm going to fix my interval at units of 1. 1? Yeah, 1. Okay, and no decimal places. 0. Okay. All right, and so now I have my sigma scale at the bottom, right? 0 -6, 0 to +6, and so my entire scale and my curve. Even though my curve, you notice my curve is going all the way out up over to here, and then it's coming up, and then it's going down, and it's going all the way out to here. So this piece is very, very small proportionally. But my limit up over here is at 3 and -3. If I come and change this to 4, the lines move out. If I change this to 5, the lines move out. So if I base my percent acceptable on, because now if this is percent acceptable, then everything in here is good. If I close it up to 3, then everything in between there is good. So my percent acceptable is going to change, okay, based upon the parameters I'm using up over here. All right, the other little thing that gets capped off on here is, and you can see it in the chart, is that this one has to move out over here. So you can there's a way of moving this axis over to here. You know, 0, 0.1, 0.2, it can be up over here, and there's a way of doing it. Also is the formatting. It tells you to format the lines. If you double click on the lines, or if you you can get into formatting the lines. Say like if I want this one as, my lower spec limit is a red solid line. So this one here, if I get on that and double click on it, I can come up over here and I can change my line color to a solid line and make it red. Okay, so now this one's red, and so click off. You want to get where your arrow is on it, and then double click on it, and then you go your line color, solid and red. Okay, and then this one is going to be, my curve is a black line, so I come in here, double click on that, and go up, line color, solid, and make it black. Okay, so there's my line formatting. And the other thing I need to do on this scale, let's see if it's, let's look at this. This one has, down up over here, it says vertical axis crosses at value. So really, if you go into, you're formatting this axis, if I go in here and I want my vertical axis, which is this one right up over here, I want it to cross, not at 0, right? I want it to cross at -6, okay? So if I change this one, if I click this one, not automatic, but change it to -6. Boom. Okay, it's out over here. The only thing I'm missing now is axis labels, chart title, and I'm finished. Okay? That's your chart, and it's an interactive chart. Indirectly, if I change these limits, it will change. Now the other piece comes in here for percent acceptable. This one's equal to, keep in mind, we're going to be using the norms dis function based upon these limits. Right? Norms dis out to here. Well, I want to do norms dis out to here, for whatever this value is, minus the norms dis out to here. So you got two norms dis functions. You got NORM-DIST, open parentheses. I have a test value. My test value is going to be, keep in mind I'm going out to this one first because this is my larger area. And then I'm going to subtract from it this little piece, so I want the piece in between. Nothing new to you, you've done this before. Alright, so this is going to be my value is going to be this value up over here. So that's my test value, comma, my mean, comma, my standard deviation, comma, true, close parentheses, minus, NORMDIST, open parentheses. Alright, and then my next test value is going to be this value, comma, my mean, comma, my standard deviation, comma, true. Okay, now keep in mind is, as these values here change, then my area calculation is going to change as well. Okay? And these values are going to change based on whatever I put up there. Alright, so click this one, and what I get is this value 0.999, but I need it as a percent. So really, what I can do at this time is multiply it times 100 or click the percent button, right? And then take it as an area. And if out to here, if I'm going to be assessing area from -5 to 5, basically, I'd have to go out a lot of decimal places in order to get it down. There it is, 99.9999994. That's my percent acceptable. Okay? My DPMO is going to be equals to 1 minus my percent acceptable. And times 1 million. Okay? And say, and I need another here, I'm only getting 0.5 defects. Well, one defect, that's not so bad. If I change this to 6, if I take this, let me widen this one column up over here because they get pounds. All right, you basically have no defects, right? And that's this specification with the center distribution, 0 defects, and that comes right off of those tables that we had before, right? Okay, if I take this down to, let's just say 3 sigma, it goes down up over here. I'm only getting 99.73% acceptable, and my defects are 2,699. Okay, so now I can have it's interactive, and I can compare anything on here. Okay, and I'm doing it within the curve, and the curve itself is reflecting what's happening. Okay, all right. This one, that's ND1, and so it gives you practice in building this. And ND2 is the same. The only difference between ND1 and ND2 is that now I'm going to have 2 curves on there, okay, instead of 1. And the chart, so you have this table up over here, same sort of flavor, right? I have this, and I have to do my probabilities. This is going to be the same. You norms this function, you get that 0.5 and all the values in between. My potential mean is going to be this mean up over here. This standard deviation is associated here. It's the same standard deviation. Okay. And here, the same standard deviation. They're going to be the same curves. They don't have any variation between it. So the mean of this one is going to be variable. Okay? And because this one's fixed at basically 0, this one's going to be my standard deviation of 1. This one's going to have the same standard deviation as over there, but it's going to have, really, I'm looking for a sigma shift. So, you know, if the second curve is going to move to the right by 1 standard deviation, then I put in 1, and this is going to reflect that value. You know, here my potential mean is this. My sigma shift values are, this is going to be my new mean based on this. So if this is 0, and I shift, if I shift, let's just say I had a mean sigma shift of 1 to the right. So a positive value is to the right, and a minus value would be to the left. So I'm shifting 1 standard deviation to the right. And ultimately what it's going to look like is, you know, the curve is going to be like this, right? Okay, and so my mean is, for this one, is going to be right at 1. Okay, so I'm shifting to the right, which means that if this one's going to be at 0, then this one's going to be at 1. Okay? And so that's the only difference in this one is what this value is here going to be. These are I have a potential curve and an actual curve. So this potential curve is just exactly what you did here. That's a potential curve. And then the actual curve is, the only thing I'm adding in here is that sigma shift value, which is related to here. And but keep in mind is that I'm trying to think if it's going to be all 1, because really it should be, these values, these are the values that should show up here, but keep in mind they're going to be changed. It's not the mean value. This isn't the mean value. Let me look at the lab assist real quick, and so I don't tell you. I have 2 keys. Let me look at this one. Okay. Okay. These are going to be your mean is going to be, this is going to be like what you did in the ND1. It's going to be up over here. Keep in mind that these are now, if I have a mean shift of 3, then this one's going to go from 6 to 9. This one goes from 5 to 8. Okay? This one goes from 4 to 7. So 4 plus 3 gets you this. So we're taking this scale up over here and we're adding to it this value or subtracting from it. If this is -3, so if I had a left shift in here and this one went -3, then these values go down 3. So it's 6 minus 3 gets me 3. 5 minus 3 gets me 2. So these values are reflective of these values based on that shift. Okay? And it's just shifting that distribution to the left and to the right. All right. And then your sigma limits, no different than what you did in ND1. Your sigma limits are just your lower sigma limits and upper sigma limits, whatever those value is reflected here. Same thing happens here. If this value is 3, then this is positive 3 and this will be negative 3. If this is 4, then this is going to change to 4 and minus 4. Okay? Your sigma shift is, this value here is really that value up over here. It's showing how much I'm shifting. This one's shifting to the left. If this is a positive 3, then this will be a positive 3. Okay? All right. Now, ultimately, what you're going to build, and the other thing on here, let me just close this one for a second. Let's go back to, let's see, this one is lab 2. Yeah, okay. Up over here is that each one of these curves, oh God, I'm sorry. Each one of these curves will have a percent acceptable based on the sigma limit, and they both have a DPMO. Okay? And so you just calculate those same way you did on the first one, but utilizing these as, this is my test values, and this was my, well, let's see, these were my test values, but my mean, my sigma shift values, these are my means for this one, and this would be my means for the other one. Okay? Because I'm shifting my mean, so these are my means for this curve. For the AC curve, these are my means. For the potential curve, those are my means. Okay? Because this one is really equal to this one up over here. So this would be 0 all the way down. And, but this one is, will change. Okay? All right. When you finish this one, it's, then you'll, the other thing I wanted to look at in this one was, it also has the, this is, yeah, that too. If you come up over the top, up over here, it's got your, when you create the curve down up over here, we have a few more categories. I have the P, the first 4 which you did before, but we're adding 2 more. We're adding the AC curve and the AC mean. So these 2 have been added, and they tell you what columns they come from, right? All of these are all coming out of column E, which is the probabilities, and then these are the different groups. Your upper and lower spec limit is J and K, which are these 2 up over here. The AC is this value is up over here. The ACM is, these are the mean sigma, this is your the mean values, this is your sigma shift based on this value up over here. Okay? All right. So this one gets done, and this last one, they're just a continuation on it in the sense that this last one looks at it with respect to same sort of thing, but we're bringing in external data. We're not doing it on sigma shifts, and it's you're evaluating the skewness kurtosis of each data set, and so that data set has a mean. This data set has a standard deviation, and these are my limits of whether I'm going to do a spec limit or sigma shift. And then this one has an actual mean, which is the mean of this data set. This one has a standard deviation of that data set. Both of them have skewness kurtosis, and you complete the tables, and it has the chart up over here that tells you how to do it. Okay? All right. I want you to see if you can finish this before next Friday. Or, yeah, next Friday, right? And once you get into the swing of it, once you do the first one, the second one's even easier, and then the third one's even easier after that. It's just a matter of, getting attuned to it. Okay? And you build your speed up. Each time you do it, you get faster. All right? And it's just creating the charts. But let's see. I appreciate you sticking with me this long, and I will compensate you down the road, because there will be some days where we're not going to go this long, right? And we'll go a couple hours. So, bear with me at the very beginning as we're getting started, but things really after midterm is when there's going to be a lot more free time, right? I'm just pushing, I push up to midterm, and then we lighten up a little bit after midterm. Okay? All right. But I appreciate you sticking with me, and if you have any questions on this, don't hesitate to email me, or try to catch me during times when I'm not busy, right? And free office hours, and but it builds on it. So if you work with it, you'll get the hang of it. Okay. All right. Appreciate you sticking around, and I'm finished. Okay, I will turn this off, and I will put it on the machine out there.